Hey gang, it is Seth Apter. I am back for another live video on YouTube. I've missed you all and I am thrilled to be here today, and I thank you all for joining me. Whether it's live, whether it's on recording, I really appreciate your support and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Today, it's exciting day. It's always my favorite day when it's new release day because all the things that I've been working on for months and months and months finally go out to the real world and get in all your creative hands so I can see what you do and how you are inspired. I will always start by saying I'm really excited, extra excited, but today I'm extra excited. And why is that? That is because this release is a twofer. I am sharing releases from both PaperArtsy and from WOW Embossing Powders. So I have a lot to share from you, especially because within the PaperArtsy release, I have three different types of products that are being released. So I have a lot to share with you. I am going to give it just another minute or two in case anybody else joins us early on live. And then I am going to share with you both the products and the samples, some swatches, and maybe some stories about what these releases are all about. If you are watching, as many of you are doing, please leave a comment. Let me know that you're here. Let me know where you're from. And we have people from all over the US, Mexico, Australia. Probably missed some people elsewhere as well, but I won't know unless you tell us. I do want to say that I am flying solo today. Those of you who are used to watching me know that my partner in art is Janine and she is away. So I am flying by myself today. I'm going to do my very best to pop in a link here or there. And I know that she would want me to say to you that if you're not already a member of my Facebook group, Seth Apter Creative Community, it's free. You should head over to Facebook and request to join. And she would also like me to say that if you're not following me already on this platform on YouTube, go ahead, click it and follow my channel. And also always feel free, always, to give us a thumbs up when you're watching a video. It helps everybody who is providing videos when they get those thumbs up. I've noticed a comment here about heat. Yeah, it's heat. It is 94 here, I think, 95 in New York City, and the real feel is just about 100. And I'm happy to have these videos because I get to stay inside. All right, so once again, thank you all for joining me. I am going to quickly, before I get distracted, pop in a link to remind you that everything I'm sharing with you today is now available for purchase and is shipping now. You can get it from many art and craft stores throughout the world. If you need a specific link to one of them, you can go to the PaperArtsy website. And if you want to just come to me, you can go to sethapter.com, the link I just put in there, go to my shop and you can purchase it there. Someone asked about the Facebook group. So before I take you to the new products, let me just say that you just go to Facebook and you search for Seth Apter Creative Community. There we go. And Linda, that is so nice. I love when new people find me. You know, we kind of all think we have our community and it seems pretty large, but then there's all of a sudden you go down the rabbit hole and you find out there's hundreds of more people who don't know you and you don't know. So it's really great when paths are crossed, and thank you for supporting me with your purchases. All right. So once again, welcome, welcome, welcome. So I am here to share with you today my new releases with PaperArtsy and WOW. They are releasing officially and kind of unofficially on the same day because they're connected. I love when my companies collaborate. It's something that I think is key to success and just the basis for everything I do, community and collaboration. So I always encourage my companies to work with each other, and PaperArtsy and WOW have taken that to the extreme with this release. So we are going to give you a new view, and we're going to take you through my products. And what I am going to share with you first are just the products and some swatches. And then I'm going to take you through the artwork and the projects that use them. Leave a question if you have one, and I will do my very best to track what you're asking. All right, so with PaperArtsy, I have with them, excuse me, already a collection of 36 Fresco Finish Chalk Acrylics. Fresco Finish Chalk Acrylics, what are they? They are acrylic paints that are chalk-based. They are matte. Any pen or marker or pencil writes over them. And the best thing is that when you use them in a journal or a book, as soon as they're dried to the touch, the pages will never stick together. I now have 40 colors because these are my new colors. We call them the Heritage Set. We have Castleton, Emerald, Pumice, Kiln. And again, first I'm going to show you the products, and then I'll show you, after I share all the products across all the releases, I will share with you the artwork. So these are 4 colors. They're all opaque, very opaque. It's a direction I wanted to go. They make beautiful base layers, even alone. And you know, I'm all about more is more in layering, but solo, and I'll show you this later, they make beautiful colors. They're also good to bring back in later layers when you need to maybe make a correction over something that you don't like, or you need to darken or lighten something. You cannot do that with translucent paints. You can only do that with opaque paints. Because these are chalk-based, these are also almost like a tinted gesso. They could be your base layer for anything. We have Castleton, this beautiful forest green that actually has a subtle bluish tone underneath it. We have Admiral, which is really a bold blue. It's quite beautiful and distinct from the other blues in my collection. We have the most neutral, which has quickly become a favorite, which is Pumice. This is a neutral that has a gray tone to it. And I'm going to show you the sample and the swatches, and you'll really see what it's all about. And then we have Kiln. Kiln is a soft mahogany that has a bit of a purple and pink undertone, so it's quite unique and different. These paints all work beautifully together, as you can just see right there. We have some darks and a light to contrast. They also work really well with some of the current colors in my paint line and in my newsletter, which I sent out today. Please join that. If you're not on it, you can find the link there at sethapter.com, the base of the homepage. In my newsletter, I shared you my favorite combos of these with my other paint colors. So I'm going to move these aside, and I'm going to share with you the swatches. So this one is Admiral. It looks a little bit darker than it is further away, but as you get closer, there you go. You get that beautiful richness and depth. This is opaque. This is opaque, and I love that because a lot of my recent releases have been exploring translucence, which hands down are still my favorites, but I absolutely adore opaque because you can do something very different with it. So we have Admiral, we have Castleton, which is this rich green. It lies somewhere between forest and emerald, closer to forest green. It's just got a beautiful tone to it. It's just very strong. And one of the things I wanted to go for, and I think the PaperArtsy people captured, is this sense of depth and grounding. When you work on a background that's white, it provides an illumination and a lightness. When you work on a background that's black or these very deep, rich, darker tones, it gives a sense of grounding that you cannot get with a light color or a mid-tone. And I also want you to know they work beautifully together. We have Kiln. Kiln is different. Kiln I'll tell you, we took a long time to come up with the name Kiln, but we came up with Kiln. And it is, I'm calling it a soft mahogany that has it has a pink and a purple undertone. All three of these colors work really well together, and they all lean toward cool tones. Although sometimes reds are very warm, these all have a cool base, a cool undertone. And when you have that, you know they all will work well and play together. Is Castleton bordering on a very dark teal? That's a good question. I'm going to say ish, because there is a subtle green tone I'm sorry, Castleton. There is a subtle blue tone under the Castleton, and there is a subtle green tone under the Admiral. So bordering on very dark teal, bordering, really it leans more toward sort of an emeraldy forest. And yes, this was a kind of the idea of a brick in the sense that it was, maybe something that would be fired in a kiln. And then last but not least, we have pumice. And pumice is what I'm calling, and I should change the name, the neutral that I didn't know I needed. When you look at a neutral on its own, it just looks neutral. It just kind of looks like an off-white, call it eggshell off-white. But honestly, it's a very special neutral. It is a neutral that has this gray undertone, and it is beautiful. My favorite use of it, hands down, is to pull prints from the gel plate. Now, in the past, up until this came out, my favorite was heavy cream. And I still like that. And I'm going to show you the differences in just a moment. But I think this is going to be a keeper and a go-to. And again, it's got that cool undertone. And so it works with all these other flavors, as well as many other colors in my palette and in any paint palette you might already have. And one of the nice things about this is that it is perfect with a capital P for blending and shifting and lightening some of these other colors. So let me just one more time say that's pumice, that's kiln, that's Castleton. They're not behaving and showing the color names. And that's Admiral. And this is my new Heritage collection. Before I move off this, I got to go to part 2, round 2. I am releasing 4 embossing powders in a quad set, also called Heritage, from WOW. The last number of, I think the last 3 releases, I've released 3 quads, and they no longer break up the quad. So if you like any of these colors, the only way to get them is with the whole set. And these are called, wait for it, Admiral, Pumice, Kiln, and Castleton, because, have you guessed it? I think it's pretty obvious. They are collaborating, cooperating, connecting. They're the same colors in embossing powders. They work so well layering with the same tone, Castleton to Castleton, but they work so well when you layer one of the others embossing powder colors on the different shade within the group of 4. Now, I just have to make mention that there's a little sad face there that we can't get the quads in the UK. That is not true. The official release of the WOW powders is this Wednesday, and you will be able to get them in the UK, both at shops and also from the WOW website. But because I was releasing the matching set of paints today, I jumped the gun. I had to share and show both together. And if we flip them over, do you see what I see? Let's reorganize. We got Castleton. We got Kiln. We got Pumice. And we got Admiral. Love these together, but I'm not just going to show you what's in the jar, because we all know that what's in the jar may or may not be exactly what you see when they're melted. These are all fine powders, which means they work really, really well traditionally with stamps, which is not always true of my mixed media powders, which tend to be very chunky. But also, they are mixed media powders because they're not just solid. There are multiple color crystals in each one. And also they have this beautiful sort of satin finish that is between matte and between shiny. So let's just take it one at a time. Let me show you Admiral, and let me introduce you to Admiral. So we have Admiral the paint and Admiral the embossing powder. And you can see just how varied that surface actually is. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Pardon me, I don't know if I'm streaming on StreamYard, if StreamYard cut that out. And if it did, I need to remember that so I don't have to announce that I'm sneezing anymore. I think these will work really, really well together. We have Castleton and we have Castleton. Love this one. This one, to me, while it works with these sort of deep, rich heritage colors, it is also the perfect shade for patina to go with a bronze or gold. And I have a lot of patina embossing powders in my line. This one is distinct and different. Love those. Just look at that. Look at that. I swear, people, I get so excited when I see these things. I work very hard on these and I try to perfect them. And the companies I work with are so wonderful. And they always ensure that the creations are exactly what I'm hoping for. So when I see them like this and I can share them, I just get so excited. All right, what do we have here? We have Kiln, and there we have Kiln. It's a little darker, but it also has the exact same tone in some of the lighter powders. But you have that complexity that you get by having the multiple shades of the embossing crystals with the solid and the purity of the paints. And I am just looking at this, and I haven't taken a picture like this. This is going to be a photo op waiting to happen when I'm done with you guys. And we have pumice. And we wanted to translate pumice. We didn't want it to be too boring. So we kind of jazzed it up a bit. And I think we came up with something that's quite beautiful. It is not metallic, but because of the satin sheen, it feels a little bit metallic. You can see because of the mixed media nature of it, it's not fully smooth. It has a little bit of pitting. You can add more layers and smooth it out if you like. I just adore this. I think this is going to be a go-to, as I know the paint will be. And we got those four, which I think I just like them. I do. But I might even like them better when you mix and match. So how about if we take Kiln, and to Kiln, we use and layer Admiral. You know what? Because I love these so much and they all work together, we could lean toward a non-traditional Christmas, right? And we can get Castleton. I mean, of course you could do that, but how about that? Undertones of these work so well together. But we can't stop there because this and this, oh, totally different look and so gorgeous. Inside of an oyster shell. I love that, Lindsay. Thank you. That works. Love the blue and green together. I mean, I shouldn't call them blue and green because they have names. How about that with that? You know, the contrast of the darkness of the embossing powder with the lightness of the paint and the sheen with the flatness of that. I just think and the purity of that with some of the complexity of that. I could go on and on and on, but I have more to share. So I know I need to move on. We will come back to all of that at the very end with a quick summary. So if you join late, you won't miss anything. All right. Oh, let's move on to the next part of the release, which are stamps. I cannot believe, just cannot believe that I have 3 sets of stamps that make my total number of sets with PaperArtsy 48, plus all my minis. It's a lot of stamps, my friends, and I know some of you have many of them. Let's just go back for a second. I do want to make mention that Meg loves the idea of the non-traditional Christmas, which you get from these. And as was noted several times, we kind of have a red, white, and blue in here, my friends, right? So you can have a non-traditional July 4th. Let's get it right, though, red, white, and blue. And as Lindsay calls it, the Americana palette. Love that. Okay, now we get into the stamps. So a little preamble. I'm going to come back front-facing camera. Hello, everybody who's joined me later. If you're new here, when I mean new, I mean you weren't here at the very beginning. I mentioned a few things. I mentioned that I would love for you to leave a comment and let us know you're here and where you're from. I mentioned that I am flying solo today. Janine is not with us, adding things to the links. So I'm in here popping in a link to let you know that everything that I'm sharing and showing you today is available now. Mostly everything. Some of the WOW powders will be available in other parts of the country in a few days, but you can get them at worldwide at different independent stores. You can get the list from PaperArtsy or PaperArtsy.com, or you can come straight to my shop on my online website, SethApter.com, and you can purchase it there. All right. So what I want to say to you, I want to say to you that the stamps I'm about to show you, they're a little bit different for me. They are me, because I wouldn't release anything that wasn't authentic to me. But it's a different direction because they were developed specifically so that I would have certain supplies for a recent event I did in France. PaperArtsy is based in France, and they invited me to be the instructor at their first full-on retreat at their home and offices, which are one and the same. Several people who are here watching this video were there. It was a spectacular time. There are pictures online and videos. I hope you've seen them. And it was just so special. And the products that I'm sharing with you now were developed for that retreat. And all the people at the retreat got to see them and use them way before anybody else. But now everybody can have them. And these include the stamps. The stamps lean French. What does that mean? Well, many of them are en français. They're in French. And I developed them and designed them specifically for this retreat. So they're Seth Apter, but with a little twist. All right, so we have ESA 46. I'm going to flip the camera. 47. And 48. And like I said earlier, cannot believe I have 48 sets of stamps with PaperArtsy. Let me just take you briefly through each one. 46 and 47 are twins in the sense that each of them contain two ideas in one. But I think you're going to need both. One idea is using actual vintage French ephemera elements, that one, and that one. But couldn't just leave them as is. That would not be very inspirational or creative. So I had to mix mediafy them up. I had to Sethify them up. So I've added some elements, some backgrounds, some scratches, some details to give you something that might not just be so pure. There are 3 of them. Again, if you're just joining me, I will share with you later the sample where you see where it all comes together. Then there's also one on both sets that it's just a mixed media element that has some words that I designed myself from scratch, no vintage element involved. And then I have the quotes. I have 4 quotes in each. And the 4 quotes, they're all my favorite quotes. They lean very positive, and they're all presented in a little bit of a different twisty mixed media fashion so that they'd be a little bit more interesting in your journals. And remember, all these quotes, you can take any of the words out and stamp those separately. So we have in a gentle way, you can shake the earth. You can see there's some underlining. You'll see later there's some circling, some additional lines. There's some scratches around there. There's some shifts in font, if it can help it. This is from Gandhi. We have nothing can dim the light that shines from within. It's Maya Angelou, a classic. The new dawn blooms as we free it, for there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, from the amazing Amanda Gorman. And we have a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, with a few additions of my own. And that has been around for many, many, many years. And is a really good quote. 47. We also have several of the traditional, historic, original French ephemera elements that have been kind of grunged up by me. And we have a few that I just developed on my own that can be used broadly. When one door closes, another door opens. It isn't where you came from, it's where you're going that counts. That one's Ella Fitzgerald. If you want to fly, you have to give up the things that weigh you down. Isn't that the truth? Toni Morrison. And the inspiration you seek is already within you. That's Rumi. So I have both of these sets. I'm hoping that even if you're not going to France, even if you've never been to France, even if you're not making a French project, that some of these elements can be used as is or in portions in your mixed media work, in an art journal, in a travel journal. I definitely think that that could be the case. Let's move these aside and share with you the third set. This is ESA 48. ESA 48 is 9 stamps. That's a lot of stamps, my friend. These, by the way, are all beautifully hand-done red rubber, deeply etched stamps. I mean, when we say deeply etched, I could kind of fill these up with soup and have lunch off of them, but I'm not going to do that. Was that weird to say? Okay, so I love these for 2 reasons. One, because they are so French, and because I was just in France, they were perfect. I will tell you that the way these developed is that I worked on the edges first, so the borders of these, and then made my choices of words in French to fill in. These are not pre-existing labels that I found somewhere. You know, these are all my own designs and my own ideas with some translation help, because not every word translates directly. You may or may not be able to understand all of them, but I think most of them you'll get. And any ones you don't, there's always Google and Google Translate. And I think some of them, secret, well, that doesn't change much at all, my friends. So I think these are perfect to use in any kind of journal, especially like a travel journal, but really any journaling or mixed media project, whether the person who is looking understands them or not. And remember, if I just use that edge, and you'll see this in the project that I'm going to show you, no one's even going to know it's French. Mind you, my favorite way to use these is to mask out the words so that you just have the borders of the labels and you can put inside anything you want, your own words, your drawings, little collage elements, faces, make them frames. You can put in your background showing through. You can have colored pencils or markers to fill in. You can paint inside. I think this is just very, very, very versatile. And that gives us our 3 sets. Now, I do have one other product that I'm going to share with you at the very end. I'm going to now take you through the art samples, which uses all of these together. Because the official release of the embossing powders is not until a few days from now, I don't have samples with these other than the swatches, and I am just totally mesmerized by the fact that this is not a metallic. Yeah, I'm distracted by that. Love it. Soup stamps. Okay, so but before I show you the samples, I want to go back to something I said earlier, which was about pumice. And I was basically saying that when you look at a neutral, it just looks like a neutral. Like literally, this looks like, at first glance, every other neutral. We could call this eggshell. We could call it off-white. We could call it anything. I call it pumice. But, my friends, that ain't true. And it makes a difference. It makes a difference for when you mix a lighter color with a darker color. You know, you may be going for something cool in tone. You may be going something warm in tone. You may want something that has a little bit of an undertone. They don't always mix with every color as well. Plus, when you use these to pull prints on the gel plate, you gotta have the right shade. So I wanted just to take you through 3 of my neutrals in my palette. This is pumice. And I wanted to contrast that with heavy cream, which is one of my best sellers and one of my favorites, and buff. So this just looks like, probably in many of people's minds, like all the others. However, let's put heavy cream side by side with pumice. And that is different. Now, if all I showed you was that, you might think that looked just like pumice. But you can see the difference. And, you know, maybe to a random person, that would be like, yeah, big deal. But when you're a creative and an artist, this level of difference makes a difference. And let's add buff to the equation. And buff is different still. So all 3 of these are neutrals that work differently with different mixes and pulls. This is much cooler in tone, the pumice, than is the buff, which is much warmer. And the heavy cream is a nice, in my mind, more of a true neutral. So I love that. I just love having those 3. And I can take each of these, and let's just say I want to mix. I'm going to pull Tundra out, and I want to mix Tundra with something lighter. Maybe I'm going to take Blue Lagoon and mix it lighter. I am absolutely going to be able to really quickly just take that and get a different sense of which one I think would work the best. Or I could mix 3 of them and get a little swatching board, and I'll see the difference. Or same with Blue Lagoon. Like that, I don't think that's working with Blue Lagoon. I would definitely go with one of these that are cool in tone, like the Blue Lagoon. All right, but you know what? As much as I like spending time sharing tips and tricks, we're all about the release today. So let's go to the videotape. I'm going to show you just the 2 simple samples I made. I say simple, they took a while each, but I only made 2 samples that can show off some of the different collections. I made an inspiration deck, and I call it Observations. And I had this container. I've had this container for a long time. I've used it for many different things. It had a beautiful frame there, and I knew I was going to eventually use it for a project, and this one was perfect to use. And so what this highlights, the elements in this relatively slim deck, what these highlight are the phrases from the stamp sets and the paint colors. And what I really wanted to share and show with you in these paint colors was how, even though I'm all about more is more, how a simple single color base changes everything in terms of how it looks and how fresh these look, how clean and fresh, which is a different look for me. They look just having a solid base. So we have here a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And it is, I know you all know the names by now. I've said it a lot. It's on the background is pumice. And so you see that it also has some rub-ons and some washi tape and some elements designed by Katie Petit from when she was with 49 in Market. Some of these things may or may not be available anymore, but the stamps and the paint sure are. All right, so we have that. Let's just start a little collage base. When one door closes, another door opens. This is on Kiln. Love the tone of Kiln. Just love that. It's very, in my mind, very, very unique. We have, it isn't where you came from, it's where you're going that counts. And we have this on Admiral, which is such a gorgeous, rich blue. Very hard to find because they don't exist anymore. I think they might be in Australia at Natalie May's scrapbooking, and in the United States at Artistic Artifacts. But this is one of my washi tapes. I don't have any more. They sold through. And then we go back and we're going to show you Castleton. Again, that beautiful base. Look how good it looks with this ochre color. But it also looks so beautiful with these sort of pinkish terracotta bricks. I mean, it looks good with a lot of different colors. In a gentle way, you can shake the earth. The inspiration you seek is already within you. I mean, come on, this project is fun. It's relatively simple. There's not that many elements. You only have to paint one layer and then it's all easier, drier elements. What a fun thing to have, to seek and search for some inspiration daily. Nothing can dim the light that shines from within. And again, we have our beautiful Castleton. Lindsay calls it a pine green. I'm calling it a forest green, but you know what? I think pine green is probably more accurate. And Celista, I couldn't agree with you more. PaperArtsy, if you watch this, how about some bigger bottles of some of those popular paint colors? I'm going to talk to them about that. Thank you for that. All right, we got a few more here. We have the New Dawn blooms as we free it, for there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it. Amanda Gorman. And that beautiful, quiet, but strong background of pumice. Again, because of the gray undertone, look how well it works with that sort of pewter gray and black of the film strips. And it pulls out some of the white in that layer as well. And last but not least for this collection, if you want to fly, you have to give it the things that weigh you down. Perhaps truer words were never spoken. This is Kiln. Again, so gorgeous with these grays. Just beautiful. And I just have to welcome Janine, who is here. How excited am I to see Janine, who makes everything we do together. Those of you who don't know her, she is my team, the only person on my team, and she just makes these lives so much better for all of you and me. So I appreciate you popping in. And Janine, you would be proud of me. I started this video by saying Janine would want me to tell everybody to join Seth Apter Creative Community on Facebook, and I put the name in there, and to tell everybody that they probably should like this video and follow me on YouTube, because Janine would want that. So happily, even on your off day, your day off, I should say, you've taught me well. And you know what, Janine? Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. You do not have to go to work. All right, let's see. All right, so once again, this project shares and shows both the phrases that are in the new two of the three new stamp sets, and the backgrounds are the colors from my new PaperArtsy release, Heritage. All right, let's move to my next project. My next project is very special to me because it was made as I taught in my retreat at the PaperArtsy headquarters in France this past month. And this is what developed. You will note the lighter colors here. I really was inspired by the scenery there and the walls there to go light. So this is not necessarily highlighting the new paint colors, but what I will tell you, especially if you look at Admiral, that color is here in droves. It's mixed with some other colors, but you can see how it pulls out. And pumice is really everywhere. Again, mixed with some of the colors, but also you can see it side by side with some of those. Beautiful. And thank you for noticing. This not only is a collaboration amongst the paint and the stamps from my PaperArtsy release, but it is a collaboration with Sizzix too. Sizzix provided some of my new dies for the retreat, and you can see them sprinkled out throughout here. And I just love the touch of what we did with the paintbrush. And there's Janine. She can't help herself. She's putting in links. Thank you. So I love this. Let me just share it and show it to you. And again, the highlight is the stamps, because everybody there got these stamps to use prior to them being released. So you're just going to see them peeking out underneath, between, within, around all the layers. And yes, that was the question. That is a paintbrush at the top, which kind of holds it all together. So I'm just going to flip through, but again, highlight. I'll just kind of point to each one of the stamps that are there. And then you can also see some of the die cuts as well from Sizzix. This is, I think, my favorite stamp of the vintage elements. That one is right there. You can see it. I leave those gaps in the stamp so that you can fill it in with color. And there are so many other spaces there that you could go to town with. And then I want to make mention that I will be demoing eventually, again, some of my dies from Sizzix, but what I really want you to note is that there's a lot of these elements that you would not think were made with my dies, because there's no die that looks like that, but they were, my friends, and I will share techniques soon on that. These are two of the vintage flavored labels that are in set 48, as are these two. And this is the highlight. I very, very often don't use my stamps fully, and I encourage you all just to use elements of it. So you wouldn't even know, honestly, that that was French, and maybe you'd think it was the word live. But I love going off the edge, as you can see, and I love using partial prints. And another die cut. And I love this one. I love this one. It has the strong contrast between the darker element at the top and the lighter element. This was made by somebody in the workshop and thrown out. I think that was Jody Ellis, but man, did I pull that out of the garbage. And that one was made with Admiral. And you might or might not have noticed that is tracks from Sizzix, these two embellishments, some collage work as well. We have some collage here, along with one of the vintage stamps. And again, some of the edge work that I did with my Sizzix dies. And we have this beauty that has several sections of the elements from ESA 48. That one, as well as some segments from dies from Sizzix. We just had to have this rusted and tea-dyed fabric element in here. I thought it was perfect contrast. Someone did mention earlier that a lot of this does look like fabric, and that is part of, I think, what a lot of our creations looked like, but I had to honor it with a little fabric. Plus, I love the contrast of that color with these. And we have some of my old stamps from PaperArtsy used as backgrounds, and one of my older stamps also as a design element that is layered over some very vintage, I think, antique French ephemera. And you can see there's that stamp. Looks legit, right? And then we end with this beautiful, beautiful page from some French ephemera, along with the only thing I added was that die. So I want to thank Rhonda, who was there, who makes mention of how well the stamps and dies work so well together. It is something that is on my mind with every release I make with every company, this whole notion that things can work together. Some of them are more obvious, like when I create a color that has the same name in paint and an embossing powder to literally match. But more than that, they're all my style. So if you like my style or can use my style in your way, everything I make should weave and work together. And I guess you could say that's Lisa living on the edge. All right, I'm so sorry you were late, Laura, but you know what? This is going to stay on YouTube forever. You can come back and rewatch. What I am going to do before I share with you the final product that I haven't shown yet is I am going to quickly take you through the products that I've released in case you join late live. Or if you're watching on recording and you decided you needed to fast forward because it was just a little too long, we have the Heritage Paint Set, Pumice Kiln Admiral Castleton. I will make mention, and the link is right in there, that these are available worldwide right now. Select craft and art stores. You can find the list at paperartsy.com on the blog post for today, but these are also all available and shipping now from my own online store at sethapter.com. So these are all opaque, they're all rich, they're all cool toned. They work really well together. They work well with other colors in my palette of 40 colors. And if you look at the swatches, we have pumice. Again, I'm taking you through this quickly. We have kiln. We have admiral. What we really have is a mess, but you don't see that. That's off camera. And we have Castleton. And the most exciting thing is that we also have a release this week from WOW, my mixed media embossing powders called Heritage. Same names, same colors, work well together and across the different colors. These are mixed media powders. They are fine crystals, so they work traditionally with stamping, but they're great for backgrounds, and they are mixed media, so there's multiple crystals. They need to be shaken up. And let's just go with that and share and show. So we got Admiral, we have Kiln, we have Castleton, and we have pumice. And no, this is not metallic. It has just got a sheen, and it is gorgeous. And can I just say one more time, because I can never get tired of looking at how well these work across each other. They all are just phenomenal combinations. And then I shared with you stamp set 47, 48, and 46. These are phrases and French vintage ephemera elements that I grunged up, similar to this second set. And then we have these made from scratch from my own head. We have these in French, these labels, which again, if you mask out the words, you get 9 label edges to use with anything you want. All right, my friends, we are saving the best for last. We are going to go to the front-facing camera. Is it the best for last? It's only the best in my mind because it's the first. So I have been talking to PaperArtsy about creating an apron because let's face it, we all make a mess. And I have seen many people come to my workshops over the years in aprons that have been designed by other artists. And you know what? I just thought it was time. So I got a special one because the surface of this apron, which is a 100% cotton canvas, really thick with 3 pockets, 1, 2, 3, but it is under the category of more is more. So let's see, we're going to just start by showing it to you. And then I'm going to have to put it on because it's really the only way to show it to you. You know, you can do this and tie it to make it comfortable. We have the Seth Apter PaperArtsy apron, and it's got a collage on it that is all my stamps. It's got some of my favorite words. Again, all this is not working out very well. Thank you for your patience. All leaning very positive. Got all the different texture elements of the stamps. It's got some decorative stamp elements. Most of them are abstract. It has those 3 pockets, and it also includes the PaperArtsy logo they're building. I don't think that's their car. They got a bigger van, and I don't think that's Mark from PaperArtsy, but maybe it's his grandpa. And then we have those splatters. Look at the splatters. So that this comes already broken in, so you can wear it the first time and not worry that you're using it like an apron and getting stuff on it like paint. So as a way to end this video, we are going to show you what this apron looks like on. And since I'm the only one here right now, it's going to be on me. And you'll get a better sense of the apron itself. All right. This is long enough. You could tie it in front, but I'm going to tie it in the back. Will I sign them? There's a question. Yeah, maybe I should sign each one before I send it. I think I will do that. If you order it from my website, I will sign it, and the signature will be lost in the layers, as it always is. However, if you buy it from another shop, they're already shipped. I won't be able to. So we got our pockets. Let's flip the camera a little bit. And we have 3 of them for our supplies. Got the word art, explore, journey, be fearless, wander. Yes, 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 yes. Really happy with how this came out. Again, I've been talking with them for quite a long time about getting an apron design. And now that I have it, I don't think I could be happier. All right, my friends. So, Sandra has a question, a good question. Will you make a t-shirt like your apron? You know what? I have been promising t-shirts, as you already, many of you know, since early in the pandemic. And yes, I have samples of my t-shirts made. Have I had a chance to actually go through with the project? No, because, you know, I'm kind of busy. However, it is on the list, and at some point there will be t-shirts, and I love the idea of maybe getting some of this collage on a t-shirt. So I could have just said yes, but I gave you the details. Thanks for asking. All right, gang. So I want to thank you for joining me, either live or on recording. I want to thank you for your support. I'm hoping you have been inspired. Maybe you've been inspired to buy something, but you could also have just been inspired maybe by a color or the collage or one of the projects I did, and take it in your own direction. But I do appreciate the fact that you are all here. It means a lot to me. This community is something that I treasure, and you are all part of my family from that perspective. I am thrilled to finally have all these products out into the world. I cannot wait to see how you all use it. And not that anyone's asking, but yes, there's going to be a lot more products from a lot of different companies, including, you're going to hear it first, a company completely new to me with a product completely new for me coming out in about a month. So I want you all to stay tuned. All right, people, thank you so much. Everybody stay well, stay cool. It's almost 100 degrees in New York City. Stay creative. And I look forward to seeing you soon. And Janine would get upset if I didn't end this by saying everything available that you saw today can be gotten at SethApter.com and also at independent shops worldwide. You get the list. from PaperArtsy.com. Thank you, PaperArtsy. Thank you, WOW. Thank you, Janine. And thanks all of you. See you guys later. Bye.